guys, it's Mandy Vaughn from Mandy Vaughn Knits. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, and YouTube under that name. And I thought I would try something a little bit different today. I wanted to do kind of a knitting show and tell. Well, a knitting and crochet show and tell because I have a couple of crochet finished objects as well this week. But I have been busy working and trying to prepare for the upcoming hat season that's almost upon us. My kids are both school aged and they go through hats and hats and hats. Every day in Michigan you're gonna need some sort of hat. So I try to take a month or two in the beginning around this time just to focus on making them hats. And of course I'm also trying to do the Joji Locatelli Make-a-long, and so I'm trying to balance that and the hats and all the other things in my head that I want to make that I probably don't have time for, but that's okay, I'm gonna try anyways. So I'm sure that if you're a crafter of any kind, you understand. It seems like there's never enough time in the day to do all the projects that we have that we want to do inside of our head. There's, you know, a list 100 miles long. But so I'm gonna start with finished objects, and my first finished object is a hat. It's for my daughter. Now it's big on me. Well, it's not big on me, but it fits me pretty well. And we pretty much have the same size head, so I love this. This is made from sparkle yarn, and yeah, you can definitely see the sparkles there. I love making the kids' hats out of acrylic. So this is Universe XL from Hobie. It is like 90% acrylic and polyester or some sort of sparkle, whatever the sparkle is. But this is crocheted and it is the Divine Hat pattern. So you can kind of see how the lines from the front post crochet just swirl along it. I used the entire skein for this, and I actually did that on purpose because I knit my son a hat out of this yarn as well. I wanted to kind of see the difference. So, see the difference between knit and crochet. I like to do that. I really like to look at, okay, hey, this stitch looks like this in crochet, and then it looks like this in knit, and just see, you know, the different ways the yarns shine. I really think that the shells are pretty, and she likes this hat. She's tried to get it from me before I showed it, of course, because, you know, she's 8, but it's not hat season quite yet. It's like 90 out today, so I think we have a couple of weeks, I'm hoping. I don't want fall to go, I don't want summer to go away. I don't want fall to be here. I don't want winter. I'm not a big fan of cold weather. I'm not a big fan of super hot weather either, but I definitely don't like snow. It's a pain in the butt to get around in a wheelchair with snow. You know what? Scratch that. It's a lot easier to get around in the snow in a wheelchair than it was in a walker. If you want a very upsetting experience, try to use a walker to get into like a grocery store while the floor is wet and you're trying desperately not to slip. It's not a happy time. So I definitely do appreciate the wheelchair. I love this hat. It's so cute. And my kids both have really big heads. So I'm laughing because whenever I would have ultrasounds when I was pregnant with them, their heads were always like in the 98th percentile. They were, it was always like that for both of them. So anyway, I really think that this crocheted up very pretty, and I love the sparkles. And you can see the textured stitch pattern. You know what? I really like this hat and how it turned out. Like I said, the pattern is called the Divine Hat. And it's free, and I found it on Ravelry after doing a search. But I'm not a big... I don't want to say that. I like the way that crochet or knit fabric makes hats more than I like the way crochet fabric makes hats because of the stretch. But this was fairly stretchy, so I did appreciate it, and I love the way that I did the crochet ribbing on that. I think that it looks very nice, and I was very happy with this one. It didn't take long to do. It was very, very quick. The pattern for this is in, I believe, worsted weight, and the yarn that I used was DK, so I added increases. Quite a bit, actually, to get to the size that I wanted. And it's an oversized hat. Well, it's not super snug, and I like that. My daughter doesn't really like when things grab her ears, so that's the first object that I have. And the second one is the exact, well, not the exact same yarn, the same yarn, but obviously a different colorway, and this is for my son. Now, I used a pattern for this too, and I followed it to a T, so this is how long the hat is supposed to be. And it wanted 6 inches of ribbing. The pattern that I used was called, what was it called? I think it was Pure and Simple by Pearl Soho. I will put the correct pattern like right on the screen right now, just because I can't remember if that was the right one or not. But it wanted 6 inches of ribbing, and I did 6 inches of twisted ribbing because I'm, you know, difficult. I wanted to make things difficult. And then you knit up from the ribbing for 7 inches, and it came to a really abrupt decrease. So I don't know if you can tell, but that's all in the pattern, just like that. This was also a free pattern, and let me roll it up a little bit. My son really likes this as well. He's a big blue fan, and he's a big hat fan. He's actually been wearing one of the hats that I've made for him that I'm going to show you like all yesterday, even though, you know, it's like 80 degrees out. I asked him why he kept wearing it, and he's like, well, it's so soft. But yeah, it's just a slouchy, comfy, big hat. I do like the way that the yarn knit up, but let's see what I like more. You can see the sparkles here too. They're blue though. I don't know. I can't tell if I like the way it crocheted up more, or if I just like the crochet version because it's the colors I love. So I'm probably not the best person to ask. As for feel, this hat feels lighter just because knit fabric tends to feel lighter and less dense, but I do like the way that this has more structure. But yeah, I feel like that sparkle should not be that blue. If it was going to be blue, it should be like an almost silvery blue, because it's just not very catchy. But I mean, a 12-year-old, almost 13-year-old is going to wear this, so he probably isn't into, you know, glitter like I am. But I made that hat too. And I did like the pattern a lot for that one. It kind of reminded me of a muscle burrow, as in it's knitting for, or like, it's very long, but you can fold it over, you can double fold the rim. And it'll keep your ears warm, you know, when it's 20 below zero and you're freezing, or another polar vortex comes. Do you guys remember that? We had, I don't even remember what year it was, but we had a polar vortex here. And I swear, I've lived in Michigan my entire life. I've never ever heard the word polar vortex before it, you know, it was all over the news and happening here. We had a huge stretch of like negative, I don't know if it was negative 20 or negative 40. Is negative 42? Okay, it was really, really, really cold. In fact, it was so cold, we had ice dams on our roof, and we ended up having to get our roof replaced. Our roof was old anyways, but like it was leaking inside. It was a terrible mess. When the insurance adjuster came out to talk to us about it, he was saying that they were getting record number of calls from people about the polar vortex. So here's hoping that never happens again. So I actually have 3 more hats to show you, and this one is also crochet, and I don't know if you can tell, but those are hearts. This is a pattern from Moogly, and I cannot remember the name of the pattern, but I found this one on Ravelry as well, and I will put the pattern name down below. But I was going through some yarn that I had gotten from Hobbii in order to make them hats, because, you know, they need hats. They'll need hats. My kids have given hats to their friends who, you know, don't have hats. So it doesn't bother me to make it for them or for whoever, as long as someone's going to use it. I enjoy making them. So I found this yarn. It is Metallico, and it is also from Hobbii, and it is very, very shiny. Can you tell from the camera? Now, this yarn comes in a 50 gram, just a 50 gram ball, and I had 2 of them, so I made her 2 hats, and that was, okay. Let me show you. I made her 2 hats. Now, you can see exactly what happened when I ran out of yarn. Can you see? It's okay. I mean, it'll be fine. It's just a hat. But I had a lot of fun making these, and the pattern had said that this was tapestry crochet, and I mean, I like the way that they came out. You just basically did like, it was a special shell stitch in order to make the hats, and I thought that that was fun. This yarn is very light. Compared to this is super light, both in weight, and it just seems so much lighter than this. I guess it's because these hats only took 50 grams. So whenever I buy hat yarn, I will buy 2 different kinds. I will buy colors my son will like and colors my daughter will like, and then have at it. So because I bought my daughter this pink and purple color, I bought my son green and blue. Now, this is one of my favorite hat patterns that I've made a million billion times. It is called the Quick Ombre Hat, and I love it. It is super easy color work, and I have cast on another one of these with the colors reversed. I weighed this. This took 55 grams, so I have, and since it's a little bit big on my son, although he hasn't stopped wearing it, so it obviously isn't bothering him, I cast on the smaller size, and it will either fit him or I will give it to my nephew. But the next hat will have green down here and then fade up into the blue. Hopefully I can manage that. I only have 45 grams left, so it's definitely going to be smaller. Those were the things that I have finished, and I was super happy to be able to get all of those done in the space of, how long did it take me? I don't know. Usually when I'm doing a hat, each one will take maybe a day if it's a weekend, and if not, it could take a long time. So, but crochet hats are a lot quicker. I think that this crochet hat I was able to do in like 2 hours. It's quite a simple process. So the Joji Locatelli Knit-a-thon started, and I have been working on See You There. And if you aren't familiar with the pattern, it is a cabled cardigan that has a hood and a button band, and it's pretty fitted, and that's probably what's going to happen with the one that I'm making. But okay, I'm gonna show you what I have so far, and then I'll be able to talk about it a little more. So I started this on Friday because that's when the knit-a-thon started. The knit-along. Why do I keep saying knit-a-thon? It's knit-along. That's when the knit-along started. This is the back of it, and I like just split for sleeves. So sleeve here and a sleeve there. And here's my problem, because it's really scrunched up, but I still don't know if it will fit. The reason is I used DK yarn and knit a size 44. And the reason that I did that was because it's knit in worsted weight. The yarn that I'm using for this is actually from Hobbii as well. It is a chain yarn, a chainette yarn. Let me see if that'll... Okay, it is a chain yarn, so it's a stockinette tube, and I've always wanted to do this, to make something with it, and it's very squishy and stretchy, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to like it because it's very heavy. At least for me. So I purposely knit the size that I did because I figured that I didn't want to make it too overly big, because if I wasn't going to wear it, I'm sure that my daughter will be able to wear it in a couple of years, and that will be fine. But we'll see, because I could always add a bigger button band and it'll work fine, and it does stretch quite a bit. The cardigan is supposed to be fitted, so I mean, I just don't know. I love this though. It's so pretty. These needles are a size 37, and I can stretch it past. Because I have it bunched up because I was knitting, whenever I stretch it all the way out, it goes past the needles, so I'm thinking it will be fine once the button band is added. But like I said, it's really heavy. When I compare it to this is fingering weight. This is super light. This is heavy, and it knits up fast enough, and that's great, but like, I don't know how much I'm gonna wear it. It feels like nowadays I'm just burning up constantly. I do think it's so pretty though, right? This is just like a pinkish, I think the color was called Rose, but I'm not sure. Like I said, it was Pearly Haze, and it's from Hobbii. And I had purposely got it to make a cabled cardigan just because look at how much the cables are popping. I thought that this would be a good yarn to knit cables with, and I was right. Now, where's the side I screwed up on? Right here. So last night, as I was watching TV and not paying attention, I miscrossed a cable. I think it was this one, and I ended up I was probably right here, and I ended up having to drop all the way down this block of 6 stitches, and I ended up building it all back up, and I think it came out really good. Like, I was super proud of myself. I don't remember ever like dropping down that far and having it look that okay. I'm excited to do this one and finish it. I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do, like what type of plan of action I'm going to have to finish this cardigan, because generally I will work the sleeves before I finish the body, and then I will work on the body. But this also has a hood, and I'm also not sure on how the body is going to, how large the body is going to be, and if I'm making it for me or for my daughter. So what I'm probably going to do is knit down the body about another 4 inches and then put it on a cord to see what's going on here and how much positive ease it has and how it feels on me. If I don't like the weight, or I don't think it has the amount of positive ease I want, then I will know that I'm going to be making it for my daughter instead of myself, and then I can kind of work the sleeves accordingly. But I mean, once you add some ribbing here, and depending on how much ribbing you add, you could have another 3 inches just from the front right there. I guess it all depends on how the back fits. I just don't want anything too tight, you know what I mean? Now, that was my first project that I had planned to do for the Joji Locatelli Knit-a-long. And I do have a second one that I haven't cast on yet, but I'm as soon as I have that, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish that one or almost finish that one and then cast this on and kind of have them to alternate. But I guess it depends on how much knitting time I have in the next couple of weeks. If I notice that I'm not getting a lot of time late in the day to knit, I will cast on the next one, and that's only because it's just mindless stockinette, which you can do pretty much at any time. It is just round and round and round. But so the next sweater that I want to cast on is Icy Spring, and I'm going to use this. This is a sock yarn, and as you can tell, it's much thinner. This is the yarn that I typically use to make sweaters. It's much thinner than the other yarn. Although this yarn is it's almost 3 times the width of this, but I saw this yarn and I thought, wow, it's a merino nylon, it's superwash. That's typically what I gravitate towards. I really like the colors for it. I am not one to brush off woolly wools, and I love using them for color work, but a lot of the yarn that I have is superwash. And it's superwash merino nylon, and it's fingering weight. So that's just naturally what I tend to knit my items out of. I think that's going to be a very, very, very pretty sweater when it's done. I want to say it's tee. It's a very blousey looking garment, but it's not a tee. It has longer sleeves. It's very pretty, and it has a little bit of lace right here. I've been looking at wanting to make it since I think last spring, ironically enough. But I figured now with the knit-along going on, it's a perfect time to, you know, go completely crazy and sign up for like 10 different projects because, right, I'm insane. Obviously, I won't be doing 10 different projects, but like I told my husband, I have no idea what I want to knit. I just know it's from this list. So I just signed up for all of the list. That way I'm not boxed into one thing. But I do know that this one's coming next because I've already wound the yarn. And I think that's pretty exciting. So it is hat season, right? I told you that. So I also have these. Now you'll see a lot of Hobie yarn from me just because, like I said, I get this yarn usually to make my kiddos stuff, and it really works out well. It's pretty inexpensive when they run sales. So this is Colorina. It is 80/20 acrylic wool, and it's super pretty. I love these colors. This is going to be a hat for my daughter. And this is going to be one for my son. Now this is not the only two I have. I've only got 3 here right now, but I have another one. This is also for, it could be for my son or my daughter. I mean, it really doesn't matter, but my daughter will probably totally try to yoink this because she loves rainbow colors. I have the other one that I have is like this, but it's kind of the mirror opposite. Instead of being a bunch of light gray, it's darker gray, kind of like a black to like light gray, but overwhelmingly darker than this. If that makes any sense. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. So I really love getting yarn from Hobie for my kiddos. It seems like they have a pretty good price for different types of yarn. This one, if you can see, let me black, it's 80/20, 80% acrylic, 20% wool, and it's a 50-gram ball, and it is 200 meters or 218 yards. I heard today's, Hobie does bingo every Monday, and it's basically on their app, you start a bingo game and everything runs automatically. You're just basically listening to the host talk about yarn, and one of the hosts called yards they called feet American Freedom Feet or something. And I just started laughing because my husband will call it that too. He's just, just tongue-in-cheek being silly. But I'm really excited to use this. You can kind of tell it's coming a little bit undone there, but that's not a big deal. I'm planning on, let's see, I'll probably let my kids go through and pick, I will let my daughter go through and pick like from different hat patterns that I find that'll fit this yarn. It says 218 yards per 50 grams, so fingering, and I'm a big fan of that. I could probably take these two and make a muscle burrow, but I'm not going to. That's a lot of knitting. Although, I mean, it's the same as if I make 2 hats or just 1 hat, but I love making muscle burrows. If you don't know what that pattern is, let me grab this hat right here. It is basically a long tube, right? Where on both ends you have this, and you push one hat inside of the other so you have a double thick hat, and you can wear it on either side. I really like that pattern because it's super easy. It's easy to use any weight yarn you want, and it's basically, once you get past the increases, it is knit a very, very, very long tube in a circle, in a round, stockinette in the round. So it's just mindless knitting. I can't wait to cast this on. I know that I'm going to obviously be working on See You There for a while, but this is definitely getting cast on next. I didn't tell you about this yarn. It is just the Barbie movie, right? It is a Madeline Tosh yarn that my husband went into a yarn store to get for me. It is a color called Kenergy. I haven't seen the Barbie movie, so I mean, I'm sure that it's some sort of reference to that, but I'm hoping to see it soon, you know, when I can stream it. We're not big movie inside goers. The one thing that I really have liked about the last couple of years is the ability to see new movies in your living room. We streamed the Mario Brothers movie. I think that it was on Paramount, maybe. But we were able to stream it, and we loved watching it. It was great. So it's nice to be able to watch brand new movies, or kind of new movies, from inside your living room. It makes it a little bit more comfortable. There is one more thing that I'm going to be casting on, and I'm probably going to do this tonight. So it is September 4th, I believe, which is Labor Day in the United States. We went to Michael's on Saturday. So 2 days ago, because today is Monday. But I had wanted to try one of these anniversary cakes from Karen, and it's upside down. This is one of their anniversary cakes, and I think they had these last year too. It says that it's the color Be Bold. I had my daughter with us, and I asked her to pick out the color that she wanted, that she really liked, and it was between this color, and they had like a bold, darker rainbow color, and she chose this one. They had other colors, but those were between the two that she had really wanted. She saw the rainbow originally and had really wanted it, but then this caught her eye, and it's got, you know, purple and blue and green. Now, this is huge. Look. This is my head for reference. Like, that's how big this cake is. So it has 35.3 ounces, and it's 1,000 grams of super bulky yarn. And it is 1,061 yards, or 970 meters. The Color Me Bold collection. Does this have a color name? Yes, it's called Purple Fog, which I think is fitting, right? So the reason that I bought this is originally this whole cake is $39.99, which is a lot for yarn. For what this is, I had a 40% off coupon. The yarn went down to like 26, I think. And since this is a super bulky and a little bit over 1,000 yards, I'm going to make a giant rectangular granny square blanket with it. And I'm pretty sure that's gonna make a big blanket, right? I mean, yeah. If you take a look at the video that I posted about the Wheel of Alpaca yarn, that was a fingering, I believe, and that was my hand wingspan pretty much. So this is gonna be very large. I'm thinking that this is going to make like a living room throw blanket that the kids can use whenever they're cold. If this turns out well and I like the yarn, I will probably end up buying another one if I can get a 40 50, 60% off just to get a couple of different colors of them. Well, buy one, make the blanket, and then maybe buy another one, because this is gonna be a lot. This will be a lot of crocheting before it's done. I do like the pattern that they have right there. Isn't that pretty? It says free pattern on label, double the stripes knit blanket. And no thank you, I will not be knitting a blanket ever. Unless it's with a knitting machine, maybe. Probably not, that would involve a lot of seaming. I enjoy crochet blankets. I just don't think I have it in me to knit one. That's a lot of work. Anyone who can put their mind to knitting a blanket, you get triple. Like if I had another set of hands, you would get quadruple thumbs up, because I just don't know if I could do that. It's a lot of, not that I couldn't do it, I just don't know that I'm that motivated to do it. I really do like the way that crochet works up for blankets, and I'm just not that inspired to knit one. Crochet to me is a lot faster, so it works up easier and I'm done faster than if I would have knit it. I like to save knitting for things like this. If you are interested in hearing about this sweater at all, I believe I talk about it in one of my previous episodes, and I will link it at the end. But that is everything, I think. I'm working on See You There. I'm planning to cast on Icy Spring, hopefully soon, although it really depends on how fast See You There works up. I did just split for the sleeves on that, so it's going to be straight knitting with, you know, cables, but it's still straight. There's not going to be increasing, although See You There does have waist decreases, which I am almost positive I am going to completely disregard. I don't like fitted. Do you know what I mean? I like loose and flowy, and that's not completely true. If the fabric were lighter, if it were fingering weight, if it were this, I think I would like it better if it were fitted. But because the yarn on that is worsted, it's just going to bother me. It's going to feel too clingy. Whereas with something like this, it's so light, you can't, it's not gonna bother me, but just weighing it down, it's more of a sensory thing, I guess. But I'm super excited that the knit-along has started. And I put my project page up in Ravelry, and I'm hoping that I can get this cardigan done. I picked this one first because it was done in worsted, even though it's cable, so that's probably going to take longer. I'm hoping to have a nice cabled cardigan pretty soon. I don't think worsted really is going to take a long time to knit up. I will be pretty disappointed though if I don't like the finished outcome, and I will have to either give it to my daughter or find somebody else who is smaller than me and likes heavier garments. I know, you're probably thinking, well, if you knew it was worsted, why did you work it up? Because I thought that the yarn that I was using, the chainette tube yarn, was going to feel lighter. So I've still got my fingers crossed, so here's hoping. I went through my finished objects, my works in progress, and what I plan on knitting. So I hope that kept you kind of entertained for a little bit. I'm hoping to post something like this every week just to hold myself accountable and maybe make some knitting friends or crochet friends, anyone who likes to talk about yarn or crafting, any kind of crafting. And I will see you next week. If you liked this content, please give it a thumbs up and or subscribe. Doing either one of those will help someone else see the podcast who might not have been able to if you didn't do that. So I would appreciate it. Anyway, Thank you for stopping by. It was fun to hang out, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.